All right. It's October 11th, 7 p.m. I want to call the regular planning and zoning commission for Voluntown to order. Members present: Scott Davidson,
Lillian, Tricia Ray.
and we have our ZPO planner, John on line. We're going to see Juliet for this evening. That's for September 27th.
Yeah. Awesome.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried. All right. Questions to the family, nothing, no citizens, no citizens comments, no new business. Voting draft, regulations draft. September. You're up.
Okay. So the last one of the things that we wanted to talk about in a little bit more detail, and I'm going to share my screen, is how to deal with smaller lots, particularly along the pond, and I suppose in the village as well, dealing with setbacks on lots. Well, actually more in the pond area, because that's in the rural residential area with relatively large setbacks on very, very small lots. So I pulled out two examples, and it's basically page 56 of your PDF set. What's all this other stuff? I don't know what this other stuff.
That was a markup.
Okay. All right. So page 56 is what? No, this is industrial district. What is it?
Oh, you know, I think you're looking at the other
Griswold.
Griswold. Yeah.
Oh, that's in this one and then you're at. But it
Hold
says 180.
Yeah, that's a Griswold format.
Oh, so wait, the Griswold did someone throw in the Griswold regulations? I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's in
Oh,
the
was it? Oh, was
Griswold.
that? Oh, was that a? That was a.
Griswold,
Okay. Oh, that was a referral from Griswold.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just completely.
That's the whole packet.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. We don't need to worry about that right now. Okay. So I'm on page 56 of your packet. So I produced two examples of different ways to deal with smaller lots. The first is it starts at the top, the 10.4.2 residential structures and non-conforming lots in a residential district. Could you guys see that?
Yep.
So this is from the town of Columbia, where they have a lake with a bunch of really small lots and houses on them. So what they've done is basically saying, if you have a non-conforming lot that isn't at least essentially 3/4 of an acre, there are different setbacks that apply. And they basically base it, if you look at the table, on, again, lots that existed at the time of zoning, so lots of record, not the creation of a new lot. But if it's less than 18,000 square feet, you have, setbacks that are 30-foot front and rear, 15-foot front side, If it's between 18 and 25, it's basically the same, but there's a different lot coverage maximum and so on. So it's basically graduated on the size of the lot. And obviously, if this is an approach that we want to take, we can play with these numbers because again, in the pond area, lots get very, very small, and even 15 or 20-foot setbacks on the side might be excessive and still generate a bunch of variances. So that's one approach, to basically have a graduated, basically a sliding scale of pre-existing lot sizes with smaller setbacks and coverage.
Excuse me, John,
Yeah.
did you do any kind of analysis of what lots we're talking about, where this district might be? What exactly are the lot sizes?
Well, it would be the beach pond area, Bennett Circle and that. I didn't do an analysis of what the sort of the average lot size was in that area. But this wouldn't be and we could do that to land on specific numbers. But it wouldn't be a separate zone. It would just apply to non-conforming lots in any district. And so if you look at, here's Bennett Circle or Bennett Road, some traditional lot sizes. So we're here at 0.11 acres. These are basically a tenth to 2/10 of an acre. And so the lot sizes would actually be quite small. I mean, a tenth of an acre, 11th of an acre is 5,000 square feet.
Right, we don't want to make them more non-conforming, so we should get a handle on what our non-conforming lots are.
Right. Well, no, I mean, you wouldn't want to make them more non-conforming, so we wouldn't be encouraging anyone to reduce the size of the lot itself. But this is just addressing setbacks. So I mean, you can see in here, obviously you've got again, and GIS lines are not survey lines, but this is essentially built to the setback, and over here you've got a separation distance between two buildings of 20 feet total, right? And so
They can't expand.
So, John, can I?
they could not expand without a variance, but the problem is, it's a common problem, and we get variance after variance after variance after variance, and that's an indication that there's something wrong with the regs,
I'll let them expand.
And so right now we can, the idea is, well, okay, so I'm sorry, Juliet, you're saying the answer is period, like don't let them expand, period?
Well, you're not allowed to expand a non-conforming structure for use, so what's different?
Can I interject here? So we asked John to present two different kinds. We're not even looking at the actual lot yet. We wanted to see two ways that we deal with this problem.
Right, it would be.
And this is one of the ways that he's proposed, showing us. This isn't a proposal, we have not gone down this route. So let John present to us the two ways we can handle it, and then we can go from if we would.
So, okay, well, Juliet brings up a very different philosophical question, if I'm understanding her correctly, and my audio from you guys isn't awesome, but that's sort of a different question of, do we just basically need to lock this down and not allow any non-conforming expansion, which is maybe a question that the other folks, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and others might want to weigh in on, because the expansion on the lake properties are probably some of your highest end properties from a taxable standpoint, but that's a different discussion. So one thing is, again, so to have a sliding scale of setbacks and coverage ratios based on the size of the non-conforming lot. So that's one. The other is, this comes from the town of Woodstock, where they have a couple of things going on here. For structures, this is a section, they're basically their performance standards and dimensional requirements, Article 4. They have a different sliding scale for structure size, essentially. So if you're doing an extremely small structure, you know, a bus shelter, a garbage surround, a small, you know, a very small structure, less than 32 square feet, there is no setback. Something between 33 and 120, so a very small shed. You know, a 10 by 10 shed, a 12 by 10 shed, is just, it has, you must meet the front setback, but it's down to a 3-foot side and rear. So again, based on the size of the structure, anything greater than 121 has to meet the front setback and 20-foot side and rear. And then except in the Lake District, and they have a separate Lake District, which would be a zoning category, which is essentially, you know, the properties developed in association with in Woodstock, it's, you know, Bungie Lake, and which is Woods Lake, which there have, and then I'll bring this up, their dimensional standard. They have a separate Lake District that have reduced setbacks, basically 10-foot side, 20-foot rear, because their Lake District looks a great deal in many cases like Beach Pond area, where you've got, you know, properties right on top of each other. So they do reduce the setbacks from basically the standard 20 to basically half of that, and 10 from either side yard. And so that, you know, would involve basically, you know, taking the zoning map in Voluntown and saying, okay, you know, 99% of the town is the rural district, except for, you know, these neighborhoods, basically, you know, over here on North Shore, Bennett, you know, that these are essentially our Lake District, and a different set of regulations applies, versus the Columbia approach, which is basically graded strictly on the fact that they're all pre-existing, non-conforming, too small, and allowing for some more flexible growth over there. But, you know, but again, if I'm understanding Juliet correctly, that's a different, you know, lock it down, no increase of nonconformity, but that you're still routing people to ZBA.
No, I agree with the second approach of having a Lake District or something like that overlay and make the regulations, the setbacks appropriate for the size of those
That
lots
was-
to keep them out of
That was
ZBA.
the original one.
Yeah.
But John, we had
That
asked John
makes more
was here last week, we asked John to give us 2 examples, these are the 2 examples. I do agree with you, the first one is inappropriate,
It's too granular.
and I think that the second approach is definitely what we need to address, but we
That's
do
what I
need
meant by
to,
looking
we
at
do need
what
to
the
see what the,
lots are.
what lots are and decide, you know, acreage and coverage setbacks from now.
So I wrote a reg new and you don't see it anywhere to try to figure out like for non-conforming lots that exist, whatever, that are of a certain size, then these regulations apply, you know, for general throughout the town versus like an overlay restriction. Like, but it's so hard to figure out what that,
Some
Really
of
should
them
be.
7.
Yes.
We're small.
yeah, versus.
They were all little cottages back
Right.
in the day.
Yeah, so we had a village. Over the area.
But I mean, we also need to address up a bit. If we're gonna do this, we should address it on.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's find all those areas that are cottages kind of lake.
But we need to,
Yeah.
but I think the second approach is what we,
Yeah, I like the second better too.
It's too hard to anticipate the whole town. That's the problem. Because then you're
Well,
effectively
I mean,
still
and
making
then-
them go to a variance.
let me ask you another question. Do along the lake here too? But that falls in the village district.
Yeah, but you
Wait.
can have it overlay within that.
I'm sorry, Scott, where are you talking about now?
Another lake.
Down,
Right behind it.
right behind us.
Is there a little neighborhood like
I
that?
mean, and then it butts on the next road as well.
Does it have a little cottage?
So you're talking like Beachdale?
Yeah, there.
Isn't there something? There's that
Oh.
original where he comes into.
Jonaville
or
Ponds,
all that.
Wilson Road. Yeah, that one.
I mean, you can just do a quick GIS search to see which properties are under, you know, under 20,000 square feet or something.
Yeah. I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do that query on the GIS base, but we can contact our service provider to do a database search.
Peacock should be able to.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So what's the idea would be? Well, I don't know. I guess so this consensus of the commission that I'm hearing is you like the idea of creating a separate lake district or a pond district, essentially, right?
Like an overlay, just so that the dimensional requirements are different.
But is it just that when you look at that there, do you extend it across the street? Or do you just keep it right above, not above the water?
Find the parcels that are tiny that this would, apply to. Draw it right. That's all.
So I
What I
guess
don't want somebody going to subdivide a 2-acre lot.
Some of the biggest problems that we had in the town was that people who were right on the pond, the way the ground is there, it slopes like this.
Yeah,
So the people that were right here, in a 3-story house,
right.
walked your,
Right.
I mean, it just needs to be addressed.
That's what I mean.
I would
We need
pick all
an
the-
actual set of regs of
Yeah.
what can happen.
I would just do that query and see, I mean, it looks to me like it's on the one side of the street.
well, on Bennett Circle, it's clearly on both.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's pretty obvious where it would.
But so Juliet, would the idea be an overlay at that
Yeah.
that would regulate what
The dimensional requirements,
of the lot and setbacks?
the lots and setbacks within that overlay. I mean, go look at North Stonington's reg, and well, there's a few of them, but
Right.
so
So
around the lakes, there's a little village or a lake.
Right.
or whatever, can't remember what it's called.
so the question would be so something like, let's look at here. So over in this area on Bennett Road, you've got these, 0.1, maybe this is 0.25. Over here is 0.22, 0.22, and then this one, which is 2 3/4 acre.
Yeah, it'd have to be, it's gonna be a district that's not, that follows parcel lines of these parcels. I mean, you gotta look at it, look at it, see what pattern makes sense, because Scott's absolutely right. The one danger of defining too big of an area, let's say, is the ability to subdivide. So as long as you have a very good idea of what parcels we're talking about that we're trying to, help or and what those frontages are, and a lot of these are built out, so it's really a matter of setbacks and height.
So then I guess why would you not just do a sliding scale based on existing lot size and not try to draw these crazy lines?
Because when we try to draw that up, it's so granular, it's just so confusing, that's all. If you're between this and this, you've got this, that it's so many like levels versus, look, this is the Lake District and your setbacks are now 5 feet and 5 feet from the sides and 20 feet from the lake and I don't know, 15 feet from the front, whatever it is, 10% lot coverage, that's what you've got.
Uh-huh.
And then the ones that are really tiny, they shouldn't be expanding anyway. They shouldn't be going up some of these places,
Would they have
but they shouldn't be getting a variance because they're not being denied their property. So,
well, and that's.
100% of the time.
That's CBA.
I
That's
know,
why-
I know,
That's why we need to regulate this area
right,
versus ZBA just approves any strip.
so the first analysis in that case is what were the last, 50 variances in this area? And if it's a matter of, it's always like 10 feet or whatever, it's always setback issues, then reduce it down to
Yeah.
smallest you were comfortable with, 5 feet. Something like that. Because nobody's gonna, its side is 0, and you have 0 lot line. You're all zoning,
Oh,
but,
they've tried it.
and then regulate the height only, something that's more of a nuisance. I don't know, that sliding scale, and I looked at that in here, I lost my mind.
Lot coverage probably got to change to. I think probably to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, John, I did that in Ledger, I did the sliding scale one, and killed me to write it, and I still had to make it simpler because it was too complicated.
I just, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I
Because
just disagree about the
be that
complexity of
different
it.
for
It's just, it's a straight if then. If your lot is this size, here's the setback. If your lot is this size, here's the setback. You know,
Okay, how
that's
many
all.
different lot sizes do we have, I guess?
There's-
How granular are we gonna get?
I would say, I mean, you know, it looks like the smallest lot that you actually have a structure on is we have a bunch of that are 0.11 that are probably 5,000 square feet lots, you know? I would doubt, and we can obviously do the query that we've got anything on a lot smaller than 5,000. And then from there, it looks like
5, 10, and 20?
it probably goes up from there, that you basically have like lots like this, like if you can see this, like lot 58, lot 63, lot 62 are basically double wide lots, you know? And that seems to be more or less how the lake was divided up. And if you want to throw the double wides in with the same category, so if you've got something less than, you know, this is 0.25 acres, right? So it's, you know, up to 10,000 square feet, up to, you know, wherever 12,000 square feet. You have a setback, and then you really, I think, probably only need to have maybe 3 categories, if that.
If they're just only like 3, then fine, right?
See, but then I look, John, if you go down, there's the 2 lots across the street that are really small.
Let me pull this back a little bit, see what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, if the map doesn't lend itself to an easy area.
Okay, right
Like
there.
these, like these here,
No, so down, that way, down.
down.
What is it, 80, around 80 right there? Lot 80.
This one is 0.11. And I think that there's a lot on that one. There's a house on that one. This is
Yeah.
a tiny lot, which there's nothing on.
Yeah.
I think it's merged with something else.
Do they have public water?
No, we're working
How are
on
they
that.
getting their separation?
A lot of them. Well,
That's a real good question, Juliet.
oh yeah,
Um,
Is
we-
it the oil tank in the
Okay.
ground?
we've got shared ones across the street.
Says, well, so good.
There's a couple houses left and one
Well,
right there
that-
across the street.
Well, okay, so remember when the restaurant was over there? That's the whole reason they never,
Right.
they came in and wanted to build a new restaurant. Like wanted them to have a separate well, and they went, there's nowhere to do
Oh, yeah.
it.
Which is a further reason why you shouldn't be like encouraging bigger development there because it's not really the capacity.
so-
Different philosophy. there. Going philosophy. And for the protection of the lakes itself, the natural resource, you gotta put some limits. But some people will be able to do it, and some people won't.
And I mean, you know, the thing is, the point is, anywhere you're going to draw a line, you're going to leave someone on the other side of the line, and ultimately they're going to have to go for a variance. But the idea is to find a reg that works for the most people. I'm looking out here at like Beach View. These are all a little bit larger, 0.13, 0.15, 0.19. There's a couple of really crazy ones over here on New Beach View Road, which we've got. This one here is 0.05.
That shouldn't even be buildable, that should be merged with whatever.
Yeah,
So, John, let me ask you a question. What is it on that particular one there?
Yeah.
What is it from the water to the front of the lot?
it's basically 150 feet.
Okay, so if we said 175 foot off the water, when we wrote the reg, would that work?
175 feet. Nobody would be able to do anything.
That this would apply to properties within 175 feet of the water.
Oh, I see.
Correct, that's
Okay.
what I'm trying to say.
Where's
Yeah.
where the lines?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All
So
right, hold on.
flat lot,
I think I can do this. Hold on.
Yeah, I see. what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because
Counties do their
realistically,
own
it's right
stuff.
around the water.
Right. A lot of towns used to do it that way. Remember?
No, water's not a parcel, unfortunately. Water's not considered a parcel that I can buffer.
No,
I-
that's a good thinking, except for those that are like,
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is our, is it 200 feet? Is it, what is
but
the?
do we really want? I don't know. I mean.
Well,
they
so then
can
the other-
put
the other-
their- the meat health codes, and they're not
The other question is, so you've got, over here,
gonna.
Yeah.
these two
What
little
else?
lots, Tanglewood, which these
What
were all
else do they
developed as,
do?
these were all developed as quarter acre lots. These have public water.
Correct.
But these are all real quarter acre lots. These are more than 175 feet off the water. The question is, would you want to do reduced setbacks for these as well?
What else are they gonna
So
put
there
on
been
that
a
lot?
lot of variances in Tanglewood?
Hmm?
No, I think most of it's right on the water.
Tanglewood?
No, there's no.
The variances are
Yeah, oh
mostly-
yeah, they're all right on the
Yeah,
water.
sorry.
It's
But if
never
you,
really.
if you look at Bennett Circle, across the street, a lot of the variances came too, both sides.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
So
talking
you
about.
gotta look at your distance, it might end up being 200 feet or.
Yeah,
whatever.
so your distance off the pond over here is,
It's both those lots.
your, I missed it. Where is it? Shoot. Yeah, you're about 250.
It's just, I mean, the goal of zoning is to reduce nonconformities, not make more of them.
Well, right, but if you change,
Some
if you change,
respect
if
to the
you
lake,
change
too.
the zoning, if you relax the zoning, you are reducing nonconformities.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
So all of those look like right on the property line.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna reduce to? That would even help them.
Well, yeah, no, so I mean, that's, the,
Zero?
it wouldn't really help anybody. Like, so here, we're looking at 38 and 39. It wouldn't really help 39 expand along the property line, because you're expanding you'd be expanding in the setback. But it would allow, structures to the rear, or, if they wanted to do an addition, a deck, a porch, or something like that off of the back in an area that's, whatever, let's say 8 feet off of each property line, or even 10 feet. So like,
So just reduce them all to 5 feet off the sides.
So-
20 off the leg and 10 off the front. Done with it.
so your 10 feet is, around here.
It'd be 5 and 5 on the sides.
5?
Yeah, I mean, if they're well accepted, they're not putting anything else up anyway. It never makes separation, does
Well, yeah, 5 feet is,
it? Little.
and then each person would be 5 feet off the line. So you'd have 10 feet separation in between two structures. And yeah, obviously, public health code is public health code. They have to satisfy that stuff. But this is, the zoning end of it.
A lot of people have patios that are down there. Patios usually, and it's,
Yeah, well, they're not really patios. Yeah.
decks can't patio. I mean, that's the other thing you could do, you could say accessories, the main house is the main house, you probably shouldn't expand. You don't want them to go up blocking views or whatnot to make, like, for all accessory structures or addition, small additions like decks or something. Just do some blanket, can't be within 5 feet of the setback. I don't know the area well. What do people get variances for? Is it for going up or what?
Porches,
For decks?
yeah.
Right, so it's like your decks, then you can say,
Parcels that have cottages all over.
Village front.
you allow
There's two of
multiple.
Well, there's cottage, there's one main house and multiple cottages. And forever.
At the very end.
Yeah. The opposite side of the pond, you know where the boat launch is?
Yep.
Don't-
Yeah, I know about all those.
There's that one there that goes all the way around, it's just in Connecticut, and then there's one prior.
Yeah.
It used to be right next to the Lindbergh place, I forget who owns it now.
What are they trying to
So
do?
it's family, I'm just saying, there's going to be, it eventually is gonna come up when the parents pass away.
Hmm.
Like, each kid's gonna want their little cottage, or something's gonna happen.
Well, I don't think.
Why we need to set this up.
But they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I mean, they wouldn't be able to split them into lots. They wouldn't,
If we said.
If we let set it up,
you still have to have frontage. There's no
Yeah.
way they'd get it.
it's really close.
Lot would have frontage.
Close, no. Not road frontage, but it's big lots.
There, you have road, you have to have road.
And with now we're able, to put how many up?
Every lot has to have frontage. Subdivision. And zone. Period. So subdivision can't go against. zone. Every lot has
Well, we have.
frontage. And rear lot is front lot.
Yeah, either. That's the next one.
In your zoning regs required. That was the problem with that other stuff. I mean, you can split lots for tax purposes.
Right,
Sometimes you can't just do it. I mean,
I'm just thinking, is that plan? Back. That doesn't already have a house on it. Yeah, or it's state property.
we have to think about what's best for that area and look at what the variances are for. And go next.
So I think. we got John.
Yeah, right, the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that one.
So I think we need to go that route. But I think we need more information. Now we need to know what are the variances actually.
What are the typical variances for and what, how many lots are we talking about and how big are they, you know, kind of thing.
Okay. So the requests are to review sort of the relatively recent history of variances.
Right.
Get sort of a breakdown, maybe I can do a color up of lot sizes in a couple of different size thresholds, you know, like under a quarter of an acre, quarter to a half, half to three quarters, something like that. And then do a color up. And then I would propose to do sort of a simple, maybe a three category sliding scale for setback.
And we have building heights that are across the board. I assume it's 35 feet,
Yeah, I think it's 35 across the board.
so it should never be variance for that. Okay, I mean, there's no grounds for that. There's zero. Unless you're bringing the building up to building code stack, you know, to bring it into code compliance. But the test for ZBA is, are you being denied reasonable use of your property? Yes or no? So if you have a house on it, you're not. Done. End of story. And P and
That's
Z
why you.
should be challenging their decisions.
Well.
You should.
That's easier said than done.
That's ridiculous. If they're doing that, that's wrong.
So, it's fine.
Wrong. I don't know who staffs ZBA, but somebody should be vocal because it's wrong.
Someone do that.
Well, maybe I will, but you know, it's
That's
like,
where
that's
you-
not right.
It's probably where you'd be most useful.
Thanks. I feel like I'm a pretty useful person.
I'm just
No, no,
saying,
that way, it's just they don't have a clue.
they have no.
They're supposed to get trained.
Yes.
Even Ledger managed to deny an application finally, after they went to that law seminar. They're like, wait, work like a charm, I couldn't get it.
Good, that's, you know, training works.
It did, 100%.
Okay, now you said 175 feet or 200 or whatever it is. Are we talking just Beach Pond or are we talking
No, I think
every body of water?
everybody would what?
Just see if you can color code it, the
You have
three
to put it that
categories
way.
that we're talking
Body
about.
of water.
Yeah.
As that includes streams.
So if you're thinking like 20,000 square feet, 10,000
Well,
and
I
five,
should say,
why
why don't we say ponds?
let's just look at all the lots right now. They can color code it on GIS, now we can see if they actually.
Yeah, I can,
Random, like,
yeah.
it's elsewhere.
Clearly ponds got several houses. Really tight.
So if we're thinking, like I said, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 square foot lots,
But I mean, if they're gonna add on shed or whatever, setbacks. Why do them not?
if there's a natural pattern.
Beach Dale.
Yeah, so that would, I mean, you know,
Beach
the
Dale
other,
pond.
the other- the other areas of small lots are, you know, there's some small lots on Beachdale. Wait, yeah, here's Beachdale. Although those aren't actually that small. Let's, you know, the smallest here is, you know, almost a third of an acre. You know, like you zoom out,
Lots throughout town.
zoom out, these seem relatively little, but like even these ones back here, that's 2/3 of an acre. This is almost half an acre. Obviously, like right in the immediate area of Town Hall, there's some real small lots.
It's an
That-
interesting analysis to do anyway, because we should adjust zoning regulations in general if they are inappropriate for the majority of lots, like say in the village area, and we have these crazy setback requirements, these crazy frontage requirements, and all of the lots don't meet it.
Right.
You know, it would be good to know what we have in the zone.
Well, we have, so what do we have right now in the village? Let's see. Because in the village, we have reduced setbacks. 15 side and rear, 25-foot front yard, 15 side and rear. And obviously on some of these lots, you know, those are crazy numbers, which is, you know, this whole lot is 25 feet wide. This one is 45, this is 60. So, you know, there are several where even that,
Well, they're not gonna do anything anyway in their neighbor's yard.
right. So, I mean, those people are boxed in, but you know, if you did have a sliding scale, you know, some of these very small lots in the village would be under the same sort of setback relaxation as the pond, which I think is
We just
okay.
run that analysis so we can just see how many lots
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Sure.
Because there are the people, I mean, we have to think about everybody in town. They're like, some people think, no, we don't wanna like increase density or let people build out in these tiny spots, and some people. You know, don't know. But sometimes you propose that in the lake, you'll have neighbors be like, no, we don't want this guy to be able to. And then sometimes put a bunch of sheds out, whatever. So,
Hold on.
yeah.
Sorry. My Google just. Okay. Okay, so I would be, what I will do is, I'll do that analysis, we'll have Taylor help me pull some recent variance, history. We'll do a GIS color up, and then, I'll give you a proposed sliding scale, what that might look like in my mind anyway.
Cause you kind of need to do that in the village district too, because when I was reading this last draft, although, I don't know what company. But, you know, the multifamily, it's different in two spots though, like in 5.1, you've got this. Bizarre requirement of 15,000 square foot per unit. So you're only gonna have duplexes or,
5.1,
and then later on, you relax it to, you know, we passed a regulation for multifamily relatively recently, and we reduced it down to 45,000 square feet, I wanna say. So they're two very different.
yeah, well, yeah, because
But
again,
my- what is-
the difference between is the village
Ludicrous.
versus outside the village. So we would need to clarify that.
Yeah, if you do the math on that, I'm looking at the size of the lots in that area, I'm like, so we have a single unit multifamily, I mean, you gotta have access and parking, I mean, that's just, that number doesn't work.
Which way, where are you?
The 5.1, little like 1 and 2 underneath. But if you think of the requirement, and maybe we reduced it in this version, but the multifamily and make that label consistent throughout your regs, but like 45,000 square feet, so you have to have 15,000 square feet per unit, per dwelling unit. So on a 45,000 square foot, you get 2 dwelling units because you need room for access, parking, and buffering. And that's why you can have it. It's just so I was curious how many in that village district, how many lots are even smaller than 45 or don't even make the 45?
Yeah, we did that analysis actually when we passed that regulation change.
You did yeah, but so the new regulation is in 10 point something, go to that one.
Yeah,
Is it
and
very
that was just a draft regulation for multifamily outside the village district. But yeah, we might want to actually call it something different to distinguish it from what we approved in the village.
And you're in Griswold's.
It's too
No, this is
confusing.
still Volantown.
That should be a supplemental reg anyway, based on the. It's too confusing to have it in. I thought we were doing like a chart for the dimensional requirements, right? Per zone. Some of that would fall into that, and then in this section 10 point something, you wouldn't be talking about.
Right. No, that's so. I think we would. I think we can actually relatively easily distinguish that by calling this something different from multifamily dwelling units, or call the village, what we allowed in the village in 5.1, something different from multiple dwelling units, just because it is intended to be a very different thing. This is intended to encourage a higher density.
That doesn't though. That encourages a low density. Look at those numbers, do the math.
Yeah, so it's well, yeah. I mean, we didn't want for new structure so yeah, in this one, right, the way we did this is, so we did 15,000 per dwelling with a maximum of 4. So yeah, if you have an acre and a half, you could do 4. And then we had the clause about renovation reuse of a lot of property.
The houses on this lake district at 5,000 square feet, you're okay with that? This is your commercial district. And you're
no, but Juliet, we're not allowing for new creation. Like the setback reduction is not about creation of a brand new 5,000 square foot lot. We're not proposing that at all.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying you're okay with that kind of a density around a lake.
Well, it's already there.
Your residential district versus your commercial district, where you might want to make it easier for multifamily.
Right. But the density is already there, and the problem we're dealing with is expansion of those existing residences, or adding garages, or adding whatever. It's a very different thing from increasing residential density. We're not really doing that on the lake. We're really just making these old cottages into more substantial year-round dwellings. It's not about density at all.
But you're okay with that type of density, is what I'm saying out loud.
Well, it doesn't matter if I'm okay with it or not. It's there.
That kind of density, but suddenly you're not okay with that kind of density in your commercial zone.
We're not.
We're good with it. We want to regulate it from here on out.
You don't like density.
We don't like density around the lake.
Well, I know.
And we want to regulate what's around the lake. They're 2 separate things.
Like you wouldn't be able to do a multifamily in the lake.
No,
Absolutely not.
even if we're multifamily, vertical versus horizontal. So you want to stick to 4 units.
Yes.
You still need more than 45,000 square. Or you can't have that 15,000 outside of 45. It doesn't work.
I don't want it to look like the burn. I can tell you that right.
Then just forget it. Don't make it so it looks. It makes it look silly. It's math. Just say no. Done. No multifamily. You don't want it. You don't want it.
really don't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, it does make, it still does make sense. They're two different topics.
So getting back to the waterway.
Yeah.
How far are we talking, like I said, are we talking streams, because, or small bodies of water, 'cause like the most recent subdivision that just came up, La Sierra lot, I mean, but that was new lots. Is that now gonna be in water district? Lake district, pond district? It never got passed, as far as I know. Yeah. They pulled it. Oh, and there's a pond there.
Where is it?
What is that?
Killing
Cemetery,
Mhm.
take a left,
Wiley School.
that's not Wiley. Okay, Turnpike.
Yeah, that's right.
Down there on the right, the Bluebird goes across, it's the old Bossier property.
This is Patch House River,
It's the daughters.
the river.
Selling, yeah,
Yeah, you're right, there is.
here's a pond.
There- yeah,
And they
there's
built houses
on
around
the
it,
side, yes. Yeah, you're right. Yep. We're still working.
Right, yeah, I'm still one. I forgot,
Yeah, you're right, there is.
but I mean, the lots are now, they're bigger and stuff like that, but if you're gonna regulate,
We say,
Maybe don't take that pond.
I mean, do you say
Why not?
bonds of
They don't.
in excess of,
Parcels around.
right, but if you're gonna regulate, then they can all put a sound right up by the water.
They can all put what?
So much, sorry. Steam,
I didn't hear you.
a sound, a steam bath,
Sound.
a little building.
John,
Every
you
single
know
one of these
where we're
houses
talking
all have songs right next to the water.
Maybe it's-
the old Stillwater's property
30,
up on Wiley School,
All right, hang on.
the one that they just brought for subdivision, that they
You're
could
right,
subdivide.
They already have.
Yeah.
All right, so
That pond right up,
here's Wiley School. Where are we talking about?
that pond right there.
Regulate,
Like
No,
right where
there's
the Forge Hill Bridge is? Is that
Oh, yeah.
what-
There's a couple of ponds. So
It doesn't have to
I
be
think we need to pick a pond greater, say on
Certain
water
size.
greater than whatever that. See that,
My point is, it's gotta get spelled out.
I know.
You tried to
hold on,
deal with.
what's
the
that
small
body of
Yes,
water? To the right there, the large piece there.
But if I was.
This is the end of Beach Pond.
I would build sound down in the water,
This is where Beach Pond turns into the.
Oh, okay,
I have it.
no, so
and then I'm over at Stillwater.
that's not why
Why
we're
can't I-
school.
you know, why can't I too?
This is Wiley School Road right here. That's right.
I'm sorry, Chatucket
Okay.
Turnpike.
Go from the wrong time. They were before you.
This is true.
Is this Chatucket Turnpike?
We can't try to solve,
No, I know.
you know. Pick the areas that make most sense that people believe, that's where all your zoning.
Okay, then
Deal
so
with
we
those.
beach pond and big pond.
Start there,
Bailey
see how it
Pond's not
works.
bad, 'cause there are some there.
See how it works.
I get where
Then
you're
you
going,
expand from there.
but what I'm thinking is we pick. We need to know how many acres that pond,
Cause Stillwater started, it's probably,
whatever that, let's say that's a half acre. So it's gotta be on a pond that's greater than 2 acres.
small.
Whatever, whatever, 5, 10, whatever. Then it becomes those within 200 feet.
Let them just get analysis and see. what they
Yes,
have.
what's up?
What
No,
they
but
have
I
to show.
understand what you're saying. What the question you're asking.
Well, the perfect thing is Stillwater started its cottage, it's just like the pond. Imagine, did you, I don't think you were there either one of the meetings. When they brought in their application,
I
that's
wasn't,
why it was so messed up,
I've never seen it.
It's because they were cottages and they wanted to chunk off the cottages. That's why it was such a weird layout.
That was a perfect example. Gotta have frontage.
Right.
Period.
All right, so we're good with just getting.
Correct.
He's just bringing back information. Okay, so are we done with this?
So, okay, so I will do the GIS analysis. I'll provide you a simple sliding scale and we'll provide a report of the recent variances.
Thank you. So let's move along to correspondence and announcements. So the visual bags update. I'm assuming they just sent it to us because we're running town. Land use training, you want to take that, Charles?
Can I have one?
Yeah. Now you know this.
Yeah, no, I wanted to.
You take all of them home, if you want.
So I would note that there is, there are still online trainings available whenever. There's a session that's hosted by the Center for Equity and Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity, CHEO, being held at Conn College next Wednesday afternoon at 5:30 for 5:30 to 7. There's an hour-and-a-half training that would satisfy your affordable housing.
October 25th, the COG is coming one too.
So they're at where? It's at CCOG.
COG, I think it's October 25th, it'll count for that particular.
And then I did, per your request, Scott, I did reach out to Rich Roberts, and he replied. Let's see. He's not available next Wednesday, which is to say today, but he could possibly arrange to be available on the second or fourth Wednesdays between now and the end of the year, if you guys wanted to have him in for, an hour and a half training. That was
Sounds Good idea to me. Didn't you guys go to the law center? The virtual one
No. Hold on now.
in 2023, they just did the land use law thing, that remember the long day?
Myself and,
I didn't know that. I thought you guys did, I thought, okay, it's the long.
No, that would have made it.
I think it was Steve, yeah,
Steve and I,
yeah, so that counts.
I know that, but he still needs it, she still needs it, he still needs it. The new one, I'm wondering if we should wait until November.
Yeah, and so to this date, I believe I've gotten Scott and Steve attended the Bar Association training.
I did too.
And Juliet did as well.
And I did the whole fair housing training, so.
Right. So the other folks I still haven't gotten reports from. But so it's almost half your commission has gotten your training. I guess obviously we can invite Rich, but we just want to lock down a date.
I think we should at this point wait for November. Wow. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because they don't take office until December. But if they're coming on, they can come to the training.
Yeah, but somebody was going off and didn't have the training.
Let's say let's start middle of November. Could you set it up for start middle of November?
For the middle of November?
Middle or the end of November?
Thanks.
I'm not holding on.
So if you wanted to do, I don't know, not for your regular meeting in November is the 8th. The fourth Monday or Wednesday in November is 22nd. That's the day before Thanksgiving. The fifth Wednesday, if you wanted to do on a Wednesday, is the 29th. That's fifth of any month is usually pretty free for meetings.
We set it up for that thing.
For the 29th?
29th of November? What is it, 2 hours?
You,
One of them has
whatever
to
you
be
want. I
asphalt.
mean, it's whatever you want.
So you guys won't be cooking. Okay, what's the requirement? Two?
Right?
Yeah.
Want to do it like,
It's different, oh, okay.
do it like a 6 to 8?
Sure.
Okay, and I'll invite the ZBA as well.
Yes.
Please.
Can you review the childcare regulations in Allentown? I didn't look at that today.
Yeah,
sure they
I think we were all right. We allow daycares as of right in the residential areas.
No special permit?
Correct. Taylor, we reviewed that, right?
Yep.
Um,
That language makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
That in a manner different from single or multifamily dwellings. The two of which are treated completely different. Do they mean if it happens to be in a multifamily dwelling? It's treated
yeah,
just
I
like
think
a multifamily?
it's yeah, no, I think I mean a multifamily dwelling, you still have to go through the state review process, and which I assume has, you know, a required square footage per child and as well as outdoor space and stuff like that. I would, you know, I don't think you're going to get a ton of these in big apartment buildings.
But you have to take out any supplemental regs? That's the idea?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
You have to take out any supplemental regs you might have on
I
the,
don't think so. I'll double check. I don't think so. We didn't have anything special for that.
right, but it says you can't have any other special requirements. So if you had supplemental regs that said you had to have like, I don't know, U-shaped driveway for pickup and drop off and two acres,
It literally states that they have to.
that's it.
Yeah.
Certify it, so.
The last thing would be ZEO report.
Okay, so it's only been a couple of weeks since our last meeting. There's not much to report. We, you know, approved a couple of you know, accessory building permits. Taylor and I did look through, Scott, we were trying to track down that you know, complaints or notice of violation for the you know, I was an illegal garage. We couldn't find any documentation of it.
Yeah, we don't think Pete ever ordered or issued a notice of violation officially.
So you know, it's a little bit of a mystery, but we can, you know, if
Can
there-
you,
Traces.
can you take a look up there and see what's going on there?
Yeah.
He actually has a.
yeah. So Scott, let's.
Yeah.
Taylor, do you remember the address that we were? You have the address that we're looking at.
4370 Concord Road.
Okay.
Report to me.
Crazy memory with numbers.
All right. So Taylor, can you just remind me next week to we'll go take a look?
And I guess there's a planner report too, so.
Well, you know, so we on the planning end, we have good news. We in the last 2 weeks we received 2 substantial grants notices. One is you know, speaking of separation distances on the pond for water and septic, we received a $250,000 planning grant to be able to do preliminary planning and engineering on creation of small public water systems in the Voluntown Village area and in the Beach Pond area to look at feasibility and costs for actually putting in a community system so people can have public water. And in the pond that they're not, you know, basically drawing from the same water that they're emptying their wastewater into. So that's good news. And then the second piece of good news is that we got a STEEP grant, Small Town Economic Assistance Program, to I don't see the rec fields master plan that used to be right behind Scott. But we did get basically a $400,000 grant to install the first phase of that, which is two playscapes, one for small children 2 to 5 and a playscape for 5 to 12-year-old kids that are going to be basically straight back behind town hall, behind the that shed that's there right now. So so good news is, you know, we're actually moving along quickly on the Parks and Rec master plan.
Is that matching funds?
Is that what? Yeah, there is a small amount. Well, I think it's 20% matching funds. And Tracy and Julie have already identified some funds from the planning and from the Parks and Rec budget. We're actually going to be using some of my time because I'm an independent contractor from the town. So paying me to help coordinate some of this stuff counts as matching funds, which is nice. But yeah, Julie and Tracy are working out those details, but there are some local matching funds.
John, who do I talk to about the playground that's out there now? I mean, somebody threw a skateboard into one of the basketball things, so you can't use that hoop anymore. And somebody else has, where the swings are that the little kids used to be able to swing in.
Yeah.
They have dug it out underneath, so little kids can't get on the swing and swing unless you
Yeah.
push it.
Yeah. So the answer with all things about who do I talk to in Voluntown, the answer is Tracy. I don't think, you could probably alert the Parks and Rec department or Parks and Rec Commission, but ultimately it's going to be Tracy working with the public works guys to, throw some wood chips in there or something like that.
That's the trouble with big kids today, with these playgrounds and.
Yeah.
They're mischievous.
Some people drop them off and we've just never been able to rehome them.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Carries.
Okay, folks, thank you.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. Big